Let's take a couple of moments and we'll walk through the audio settings menu on Pioneer's MVH-X380BT. So from any of our sources, and we're on the auxiliary source right now, let's press in on the volume control and we'll roll along until we find the audio menu. Here's audio, and press enter. And the first thing we see here is our fader control. And if you don't see a fader control here on the first setting, that's because you don't have rear and subwoofer set up on the initial menu on the speaker pre-out menu. So go back to the speaker pre-out menu, make sure you have the proper selection made there in order to see the fader control. We'll press in on the volume control, and here I can move the fade from front to rear. Once you're done making those settings, we'll go back and roll over to the next setting, which is our balance control, and press enter there. Here we can balance from right to left. When you're done making those settings, we'll go back and roll over to the next setting, which is our EQ settings. And for more information about the equalizer, check out the EQ settings video. Let's roll over to the next setting, which is our loudness control. Right now, loudness is turned off, and we'll touch in on the volume control and switch loudness on to its low. Touch again to the mid, one more time to the high level, and touch it one more time to switch loudness off. For this demonstration, we'll switch loudness on and leave it at its low level. Let's roll over to the next setting, which is our subwoofer. Subwoofer right now is switched off, and if we touch in on the volume control, we can switch the subwoofer on and in its normal phase. Touch it again and switch to the reverse phase. Touch it one more time and the subwoofer is switched off. So for right now, we are going to switch the subwoofer on and leave it in its normal phase. Then we'll roll over to the next setting, which is our subwoofer control. If you don't see the subwoofer control setting, that means you have the subwoofer switched off in the previous menu. We'll enter into the subwoofer control, and here we can start with the crossover frequency for the subwoofer. By turning the volume control, we can go from 50 up to about 200 hertz. We can choose a crossover point. Then we press in on the volume control when we can choose to boost or to cut that subwoofer output at the given crossover frequency. Press in on the volume control again, and we can choose to change the slope from 24 to 12 dB per octave at the given crossover frequency, which is right now 63 hertz. Once you're done making those adjustments, you can go back and roll over to the next setting, which is our bass boost. Here we can add a little more bottom into the system, up to +6, or roll it back down to 0. And we'll go back and roll over to the next setting, which is our high pass filter setting. We'll press enter there. Right now the high pass filter is turned off. We can roll the volume control to switch the high pass filter on and change the crossover frequency for the high pass filter. Once you've made that adjustment, you can press in on the volume control and again change between 12 or 24 dB per octave for the crossover at the given crossover frequency of 100 hertz. We'll go back and roll over to the next setting, which is SLA, or our source level adjuster. Now if you'll remember at the beginning of this video, we were on the auxiliary source. And so the auxiliary source right here has its own source level adjustment. So does Bluetooth audio and USB. On the auxiliary source, we can press in on the volume control and we can make the auxiliary source sound a little bit louder or a little bit quieter as compared to FM. Now SLA shows up in your list here if you're on the auxiliary source or your Bluetooth audio source or the USB source. If you're on the AM/FM source, you won't see source level adjuster available in the menu because all of the sources are compared to FM. The idea here is when I switch between sources, we don't hear a big jump or a big drop in the volume output from the head unit. Once you've made those adjustments, you can roll over to the next setting, which is back around to the fader. Remember, at any time, you can press the band button here to escape.